So then Shard, he finishes up his cross-examination. Then Brian Steele comes up there. Now, Brian Steele, from the very beginning of his cross-examination, he's pissed. Like, he is visibly pissed. You can hear it in his voice. You can see it on him. He is not happy with the judge at all. The judge is like letting all his bias show for the state. Because to me, it seems like the judge is just anti-Brian Steele. He's letting the other defense attorneys get a lot of stuff off. It's Brian Steele specifically. To me, it feels like every time Brian Steele objects to something, he overrules it. The judge overrules it. But some of the other attorneys could object, and they might get a little bit of leeway. Brian Steele is immediately, as soon as he finished objecting to something, is overruled immediately. So there's something, I don't know what's going on, but something with the Brian Steele specifically and his judge, I don't know. I don't know what that's about. Now, so Brian Steele is getting into his thing, and he's trying to. So now Brian Steele's strategy is because they just introduced all these dumbass tweets into this thing, and they didn't even use all of them. So now Brian Steele's strategy is I'm about to go through every single tweet that they brought up, and I'm about to put them in context, and I'm about to put them in order. Because one thing the state did, part of the exhibits when they introduced these tweets in, they didn't have the tweets in order. They kind of grouped them together as they see fit. They just put them in any order they wanted to make it look like consecutive back-to-back gang references. So whereas the tweet might have actually just been about a song, they put them back to back to back, and it just looks like Young Thug is on the internet threatening people or throwing up gangs or and all that, when really he's just promoting a song, right? So Brian Steele is like, yo, but before he even. So he's going through all these tweets, right? And now this is where they got me, because I'm a Young Thug fan, but I'm not all the way tapped in like that. I definitely wasn't all the way tapped into him until the song Lifestyle came out. I kind of didn't even really know who he was. I knew the voice from the song Stoner, but I didn't know who I didn't know who that was. So he asked Detective Belknap, hey, you said that you never heard the word slime to mean slug, love, I, me, everything. You said you never heard that, right? He's like, I never heard that, because the prosecution asked, because like I said, they went through everything Trontavia Stevens said and tried to debunk all of it. So the prosecution asked Belknap, have you ever heard of slime meaning slug, love, I, me, everything? And he laughed and chuckled and said, no, of course not. Never heard that in my life. And then Attorney Steele, Brian Steele, comes back and says, so I heard you say you never heard that before. And like I said, in this case, they've been holding true to it. And this is probably all cases, I don't know. But in this case, you can't introduce some new evidence unless unless the state or the person that you're cross-examining or examining, cross-examining, or whatever, misleads the jury or says something that's misleading or out of context or whatever. That's the only time you can. So in this instance, the judge allowed Brian Steele to actually play a song called Slime. Now, remember I talked about the song Dropping Jewels. The reason that he wasn't allowed to play it is because Trontavia Stevens and the prosecution that was examining him, they didn't misrepresent it. They just read it word for word and said, what does this mean? What does that mean? They didn't say anything wasn't anything or anything like that, right? Anyway, there was no misrepresentation, so he couldn't up the ante by playing the song. But in this instance, Belknap tried to make it seem like slime didn't mean what Trontavia Stevens said. So now the judge allows Brian Stevens to play this song called Slime from 2013 with, what is his name? Ola something. I can't think of his name. He's in a different gang. Anyway, Ola, my bad. Let me look his name up because I have it. I just had to pull it up. Excuse me. Oh man, what's the boy's name? My bad, y'all. My bad. His name is, Ola Player. My bad. Ola Player, who, by the way, we just found out also goes by the name King Slime. So that's important. So he plays this song, and the song he says slime. They scream out slime in the song, and he like, that means slug, love, I, me, everything. Literally just like that. in the song, like literally in the song, he yells it out like that. So I'm like, so y'all been investigating these people and y'all did all this and you didn't even know that these people put it on record what slime meant? Like, even if slime don't really mean that, the fact that they had the foresight 11 years ago to make sure that they put this on record somewhere, like, that's why I be saying, like, these dudes are not stupid. Even though they might have made some bad decisions, they're not stupid. So you have to understand, like, they covered their tracks so good that this case looks ridiculous, right? So anyway, so he plays the song in the courtroom, and Belknap just, like, pretty much he couldn't say anything. He just laughed like, "Wow, I didn't know that said that. I never heard that song before," and I didn't know that that's what that meant, because you got to think about it. For all of us that wasn't Young Thug fans back then, we didn't know who he was or none of that. When Trontavia Stevens said that on the stand, it went viral because it sounded so ridiculous that everybody's like, why would he just made that up? Whole time, this man he was dead serious. That's really what they said it meant. So I had somebody ask me, can I talk about what I think the jury has on their mind? And shout out to that young lady on Twitter. I think in instances like this, they're like, wow, well, it's one of those truth is stranger than fiction type of situations. It's like, well, even though Trontavia Stevens does sound like he's lying, some of this stuff could be so crazy and true at the same time. Some of the stuff he's saying, this really could be true. It just might just sound crazy. It might just be true. That's what I think they're thinking in the instance, especially when they find out that slug, love, I, me, everything is what slime means, because they heard it on a song that's 11 years old. I think that just made him say, dang, was he lying, or are they trying to paint him as a liar? Like, so Brian Still played that. I thought that was amazing. Like, I tweeted it immediately, like, wow, I can't believe it. And so then he's still going through all these tweets. Now, one thing I do think about the tweets, and yeah, Brian Still is going through all these Young Thug tweets and saying, like, look, did you know he was just promoting a song here? And did you know he was promoting a song here? And then he gets to the Super Slimy album cover pretty much. And he's like, do you know who Future is? He's like, yeah, he's an entertainer. He's like, this is a song. They're promoting a mixtape. So all this stuff, this slime stuff and this Super Slimy and all this type of stuff, this is in reference to this music that he's promoting. And then Belknap kind of just goes on his own little tangent to be like, yeah, but can I give some more context to that? And for whatever reason, Brian Still lets him. So then Belknap is like, yeah, well, you see, that is the skull of a dead bird, and that's a snake crawling through the skull. And that dead bird, their rival gang that they're going against, they use like a hawk as their logo. And that snake crawling through there is that. It's like them killing that hawk. I don't know why Brian Still let him say that. Because even though I guess he felt like he could try to rebut that with other line of questioning, but he didn't actually argue back and forth with him. He just let him say it. Had somebody tried to say that while the state was examining him, the state would have stopped him, because the state did stop Trontavia Stevens a few times when he was trying to explain stuff, and they kept saying, objection, Your Honor, unresponsive. That's what they were saying, because if you're going off on your own script and not answering a question, you just feel like saying something, I guess they consider that non-responsive. But Brian Still let him go. It looks to me like Brian Still's strategy is to show that the state is biased and they're reaching for a case, and they don't really have a case and they're just reaching for anything. That's what it looks like Brian Still is trying to establish. I honestly think it's very tone deaf what Brian Still is doing right now, because yes, we can play the reasonable doubt game, but the problem is you are defending a black man in America that comes from poverty, right? That whole reasonable doubt thing does not work. If you go as a black man into the criminal court system in the United States of America, you have to prove yourself innocent. Yes, we have seen people get off and beat cases and stuff like that, but the vast majority do not beat anything. As a black person in America, and you have to prove that you're innocent. A white attorney arguing for this for this defendant as if he's going to get a fair shot I think is tone deaf. I think you got to read the room a little bit. Letting Belknap just get up there and go on his own tangents and keep on explaining stuff, talking about, yeah, on the streets, they've been going to war and doing all this back and forth. Why are you letting him say that? You can object to what he's saying, just like the prosecution was objecting to stuff Trontavia Stevens was saying. Like, don't be that tone. Don't be that cocky that the state's case is that weak that you're just going to let this man get up there and just say anything. I think you should fight just like you would fight for anything else. Don't let them say anything out of bounds, because that's going to stick with the jury, especially since you didn't even argue back. You just let him say it and then said, Brian Steele pretty much just said, you finished? That's pretty much all he said. Are you done? And then he went on to the next question. Like, painting the state's expert witness as biased is cool, but that's not going to get your client off, though. Like, that's not going to do that at all. I don't understand that strategy. Maybe like I said, we correct each other. Maybe one of y'all let me know in the comments why he thinks that that's the way to go with that whole thing. You know what I'm saying? To me, at least, they do look bad, but looking bad kind of helps you when you come to an appeal, but it don't really help you when it comes to a jury deciding whether you are guilty or innocent. So I need Brian Steele to figure that one out. I don't know. Brian Steele did come out. He came out strong when he initially started cross-examining. I just think that it started getting weird when he started going through all the tweets. I'm like, I honestly feel like they should have treated those tweets the way they treated Belknap when he first went up there as an expert witness, and they didn't cross-examine him. I think they should have went right past the tweets, because the problem is, again, this is a psychology thing. We know when somebody is trying to BS with us, right? So when you keep on trying to tell us that this man shouting out a bunch of gangs is just all about music, you're making it, as a jury, it's like, now you think I'm stupid. I'm going to hold that against you because you think I'm stupid now. Now, I'm not saying what Young Thug was or was not doing. I'm saying that if an attorney comes up and keeps on trying to paint the picture that all of these gangs that he keeps shouting out, he has nothing to do with, and they're just music people that they just showed him support. In a perfect world, yes, we would believe something like that. In the world that we live in, though, stop playing. Like, come on. So the fact that you went through all these tweets and tried to say, hey, this is about music and this is about music, and like, I think that the jury is going to feel like you're trying to insult their intelligence, and they're not going to forget that. I don't think they're going to forget that. The way Belknap was answering Brian Steele's questions with the whole, Brian Steele is like, is this tweet about music? He's like, yes. And then he promotes his gang at the end. So every time Young Thug hashtagged Blat or Slat or YSL or Rock or RO5 and 5 in space of a C or MD5 or all this type of stuff, Belknap is like, yes, that's about music. And then it's about the gang, that gang part right there at the end. That's the gang stuff. And that's why I said that was a misstep by Brian Steele to go through that, because Belknap is getting off everything you want to get off up in there. And like I said, you trick the jury into thinking everything this man says is correct when you bring him back as an expert witness multiple times. So then, I don't know if y'all saw Wednesday's stream for the trial. It was completely horrible. They only did a half a day from 1:30. It was supposed to start at 1 o'clock, 1:30. It didn't even start till like 2 something. And then the whole time it was glitching like crazy. You couldn't even make out what the questions. It was glitching so bad. I don't know what that was about. I've heard conspiracy theories. You know, they said that the state made it glitch like that. I don't know, but it was terrible. You really couldn't even tell what was going on. I do know Brian Steele was still going through all them tweets though. And then Thursday, it wasn't glitching anymore, but they pretty much sat up in there, argued. They just argued for a while, and then they eventually brought in Belknap, asked him a few more questions. It wasn't much going on Thursday either. And then they took a recess Friday, and then they're also on recess on Monday. So this week was not super eventful, but there was some good stuff. I do want to hear more about this YSL Mondo thing. I don't know how they flip it or spin it, but I'm interested for more of that to come out. I'm interested where the defense is going to take that argument. You know, That's a good one, Shard. I like that. That's a good one, man. Y'all let me know what you. Oh, excuse me. Oh, y'all let me know what y'all think, man, in the comments. I just threw my water all over the place, man. Hopefully, I didn't get it on my mixer down here. That's an expensive mixer. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below. You know, who do y'all think is winning right now? You know, it's going back and forth. This is a heavyweight match.